Hey you guys, this is Claire. I'm supposed to rotate my device. I can't do it that way. Okay, I guess it's telling me to do that. I just wanted to try this out on live. I've never really done YouTube live before. I've tried you now for a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of just be really candid and just kind of be really laid back with you guys tonight. I'm kind of tired. I had a whole big weekend with the family, and I just want to talk with you guys about something that kind of popped in my head about understanding narcissism and narcissist. I really feel like this is really an important subject. I've talked about it before. I've done like a sociopath video and different things. I think this is honestly something that we should be teaching our kids from a young age, how to identify narcissism, because there's a lot of narcissists out there, and it's really, when you're unsuspecting, when you don't know what to look for, it's really it can really consume you and consume your whole life. And I've seen so many stories, and it's so common to hear people talk about, basically getting sucked into this vacuum of, getting in the relationship with a narcissist, and it really can take up years and decades. I mean, it can be life altering, life changing, all consuming. So that's why I just kind of want to share what I know. I'm not an expert or anything on narcissists by any means, but I definitely think I have some experience in dealing with them. So I came up with this idea. I've been learning things. Pretty sure this was a completely original idea, but just from what I'd learned, it kind of popped in my head of equating the narcissist to a zombie. And I have a little bit more experience, I would say, with covert narcissist than like overt. I don't know. I don't even know all the forms of narcissism, but I have a covert narcissist, I think, that is very, very close to me. Very, 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 very close. So, and oddly enough, they really like zombies. I'm like, they're relating to these zombies, in a deeper level. So basically, if you think about it as, a normal person, an alive person is is normal. It's your true self. You know, you're alive. You're capable. This would be your average person who's not a narcissist. They may, a lot of people may have narcissistic tendencies, but you can deal with people on a basically normal level. You have a normal ego. Everybody has some ego. You have an ego, but you don't let it run your life. You're not out to get other people. You have empathy for other people. You can listen to your conscience. You're connected with who you're supposed to be. You're alive. You're an alive person, for our metaphor. What happens, I think one of the key things in understanding narcissists, not to like have too much pity for them, especially if you're an empath and dealing with them. Oh gosh, just broke my necklace. Um, but what happens is, at a very young age, they're tainted in some way. They're affected in some way, usually by a parental figure, to where they can't deal. They just have this defense mechanism that turns on within them, and it's because of this pain, this something they're suffering in some way. Or, I've heard things that it could just be they're treated so, in such an elevated manner. They're treated so great that and that part might not even fit. From what I've heard, though, with a lot of them, they were neglected or abused in some way, where they're humiliated. They basically, it activates narcissism in them, um, as a defense mechanism, so that they don't crumble, so they don't give up. Who knows? But that pain basically becomes unbearable. So that's why they flip and kind of turn into a zombie, so to speak, because they can't deal with that pain, and so that's why that defense mechanism switches on. So basically, they turn off their true self. they become, and back to our analogy, their true self dies. Um, and if they were to just, like, to be dead would be to be consumed by this void that is like their greatest fear, that they cannot face. You got to understand the defense mechanism is a form of denial. It's a form of, they're not, to be a normal person, you would be working through your problems. You would be dealing with your problem and healing, but these people are too young. You know, at that time, usually it happens at a pretty young age, between toddlerism and 6 or 7. You know, people apparently just get stuck if you become a narcissist. So, once again, their old self dies. They're no longer capable of things that a person who is like a, you know, this alive true self person can do. And again, it's just to not be consumed by the pain. It's just to turn it off because they cannot deal with it. That's their void. That's being dead. So they're reborn as this zombie. This zombie is the undead. They're like a shell of a person, you know. They're still like walking, living, eating, breathing, maybe breathing, you know what I mean. They're walking around kind of going through the motions of life, but they're not capable of that, of real empathy and real reasoning. It's all about them. It's all about their needs. They don't care who they're hurting because they just need what they need. And so instead of obviously like walking around and eating brains, they're just trying to get their narcissistic supply. And so a good, I think, way to think about the supply is they really feel like they need it. It's like a zombie trying to eat somebody. Like, if they don't do that, and I guess a real zombie wouldn't sit there and think, if I don't eat these brains, I'm going to die. But that's what the drive is. And I think another good way to look at it is it's kind of like a bubble. The zombie it's a shell. Like I said, the insides are empty, just like the narcissist. But it's also a bubble. So, you know, when you're smashing the zombie overhead, they pop. They just think about it as they're a bubble. You poke them and they pop. And they, on some level, they may know that. And so I think that's why they can't deal, because they are so afraid of going back to that place of pain. That pain was, remember, it was so overwhelming for them, they could not deal with it. That is like their biggest fear, would be to go back to that dead zone, because they can't handle it. And that's, you know, they are doing anything that they want to. But since this zombie is just a shell, it can very easily get popped. And also, it's like a balloon in a way. I said a bubble, but it's more like a balloon, except for in order to stay inflated, it needs to get that supply. So I guess you would think about the zombie as having a balloon mouth and just trying to suck in, you know, people. And that's why one of the hardest things I think for normal people to understand about zombies or about narcissists, is that they don't care. Like, yes, people just think of, oh, the narcissist just loves themselves. That's a cover up, because deep down they're afraid. They haven't processed with those feelings that they had when they were younger. So they're afraid that they are that shitty person that they, you know, that their mom told them that they were, or that they felt like at that time. Remember, they're so small, they didn't know how to deal with the bad feelings. So in order to avoid, you know, internalizing them, they shut them off and made this false persona, the zombie, to, you know, to avoid doing that. So sorry if this is a little bit rambly. I'm starting to think maybe I should have actually put it on another video, but, you know, whatever. You can always turn it on fast forward. So, you know, they're walking around, they're sucking in everybody. And it's the thing that I was saying is, it's hard for people to understand that if they don't get that positive reaction from somebody, if they don't have somebody that's adoring them, they will their secondary, route route is to get their supply to get that attention that they need in another way. So we've all heard about kids, acting out. They don't get enough attention. They're going to get it in another way. Well, that zombie, again, it's sucking. It needs something to consume. It needs that narcissistic supply. So if you don't give them that anymore, a lot of times if you get into like a relationship, whatever, or a family member, if they're not getting what they want from you anymore, and the thing is, they always need more. They always need more and more and more of this supply. So if they're not getting it, then they're gonna start to figure out another way to get it. And so it doesn't matter if it's adoration, or it could just be pressing your buttons, making you, feel something. So if they have to do it in a negative way, they will. They absolutely will. Because again, they lack the empathy to really understand what they're doing. So, overall, I think it's just really important to really remember that these are not, it's not that they're not real. And I believe that everybody has honestly, I do believe that everybody has a potential to change. I don't believe people when they say, oh, narcissists are like totally beyond help. That just goes beyond my beliefs. Yes, it's probably very hard. But, again, that's just my beliefs. It would take some really deep healing, I think, for a lot of people. I think, being a narcissistic zombie, like they are like a shell of a person. They have really no real happiness. A lot of them don't even have like real hobbies. They don't have real empathy. Their ego seems to be just so overinflated to protect them from what they view as a death. And one of the main things to remember, which is what makes narcissists so freaking scary, is the fact that they do view any narcissistic injury as death. They equate it with dying because, again, and that's kind of, it was the metaphor part, but it really, I don't think, from what I've learned, I don't think that they can even separate that because, again, they are so scared of that, that humiliation, that pain that they felt as a kid. They just will do anything to not go back there. And so that's why they have that bubble to just keep them far, far away from it. And so that's why it's so easy to injure the narcissist. I mean, you could be barely thinking you're doing anything. You could just say a comment like, oh, there's a better way to do this. Like, I'm trying to help you as a person or whatever. And that narcissist is just going to be like, pop, like if you, and they're kind of always on the lookout, too. It feels like you always got to walk on eggshells because any little thing can just pop the ego, the bubble, the zombie bubble. And if that pops, then they actually feel real pain. So that's why they're willing to go, some narcissists are willing to go to great lengths to avoid that from happening. And that's why they're so easy, to move on. And it's so hard for normal people to understand, like, how the hell could this person move on, or how could they treat me this way after we used to be best friends or whatever. And it's like, yeah, they just are really, it's like a self-preservation mode for them. It's fight or flight. It's live or die, literally. So yeah, I just got done watching Walking Dead, so a lot of zombie references here, but yeah, they have to fake it till they make it. They have to keep on going because they're constantly fleeing this underlying kind of thing that's always nagging them. This always this death that's right behind them, They just can't deal with it. So, and unfortunately, they can actually create other zombies. They can create other narcissists. Most likely their children, which is really sad. But yeah, I just think it's good to kind of be able to identify what's going on, be able to relate a little bit more to these zombies to, these narcissists, because it's confusing. And a lot of, when you look up articles, it's like all of them are written towards being in a relationship with them. Like, people don't tell you how to deal with it when it's in your family or a friend or something like that. I just think people need another view, and that's what I just wanted to kind of create here. And, um, you know, you got to know your enemy to know your enemy. What was that? What am I thinking of? Know thy enemy. I don't know. That's just what it is. You gotta learn. I know in my own healing process with having, like I said, a really person who's close to me, that I've finally figured out that they are a narcissist. It has just helped me so much to just stop that wondering process in my head. Like, what is going on? All that time that I spent like lamenting over this. And it does help me, I think, to know that this person, to be able to, instead of approach it from a place of anger, you know, and if you guys heard of DABDA, the stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Like, it's very easy, I think, for like narcissistic survivors, or people who are the loved ones of narcissists or whatever. It's very easy for them to blame themselves and get stuck in denial, anger, bargaining, depression. It's very easy to get stuck in those and then not be able to heal, because you're constantly trying to figure. You just don't understand. How can you even start to heal if you don't understand? So I think it's really important to get out there and really learn about it, and that way that you can move forward and stop questioning yourself and saying, what did I do? How could I let this happen? Or try to make it right. Because honestly, even though I said I do believe that narcissists like can heal themselves, I don't think it's ever going to come from a place of an outside person looking in. It's got to be just something that the narcissist comes to on their own. Like, they've got to confront that death and realize that that burst of that ego is not a real death, and they probably have to like go through. I mean, it would be a deep ass process. I always say, like, emotional wounds are just like regular wounds. Like, you've got to get in there, you've got to clean it out. If it's, a lot of times there's like an infection underneath your wound, like, and it heals over, but it's not completely healed. You got to like literally cut yourself back open, get in there, dig in there, clean it out, dig it out, then let it really heal properly. Another great analogy here on this lovely Sunday night. But yeah, so don't think that you can really help them. Just try to help yourself, because the zombie will try to eat you. And again, it's fight or flight for them. It's life or death for them. This is not a game for them. This is not a friendship. I mean, no matter what you thought you had, you just have to get over it and realize that they were faking. They're not like some obvious zombie. These are like zombies that look like real people, and even though you thought you were having a good time, and you thought you were relating to them on a deeper level, and you thought you were best friends, you thought you were lovers, whatever it is, you weren't. That was you. They were mirroring you to suck you in so that they could keep their bubble inflated. It's just, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it to move on. You got to heal just like they need to. But anyway, I think I've shared my point here. Let me know if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, etc. I was going to do another video on narcissists soon. But as usual, if you have any ideas for me, like questions, topics, whatever, let me know. I know this is a little bit off topic. But again, if I feel people can learn from it and it can help people, and then I'm going to put it out there. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat your fruit. I'll talk to you guys later.